The 1985 Ford Granada is the brochure of the day. Hello and welcome back. Now, Quarterlight, we're a car brochure channel looking at brochures like this one we're looking at today. We've been looking for a full range brochure for the Ford car range, December 84, January 1985. We're up to Granada, but don't worry if you missed any of the previous episodes, there will be a link at the end of this show. So let's throw this brochure on the board and see where we're up to. Yes, of course, the Ford Granada. This particular Ford Granada would be, of course, the Mark II facelifted model, although these marks in the Ford range seem to be a constantly evolving thing, so I'm assuming it's still referred to as a Mark II facelift, but I'm sure anyone will tell me if that has actually changed, but it sometimes seems to do. But for this episode, we're certainly going to refer to this as a Mark II facelifted model, getting to the end, of course, of the Ford Granada run, and particularly in the showroom, these would have been sitting alongside the Sierra, and certainly next to a Sierra it would look quite an old-fashioned looking car, but actually my favourite generation of Granada is these late models. The front cover, of course, is depicting a very nice example of a Ghia model. I particularly like the alloys that they used at this particular period. Anyway, we've got a few to get through, so let's see how that range started. And the range starts quite logically, really, with the Granada L. At this time, the Granada L, the base model Granada, didn't look too bad, did it? I know I always look back at Granadas of old, and the base models didn't get any bright work on at all. Well, a little bit of bright work on these L models, so actually they weren't a bad starter model. It says on here, an up-to-minute car whose price is just as attractive as its specifications, and certainly later on in the programme, once we've looked at the range, we'll certainly see how expensive, or indeed how cheap, these Granadas were. So the flagship models, particularly like this L in this shade of colour, actually, we'll certainly look at the colours as well. This would, of course, be a metallic paint though, so typically you pay a little bit extra for that. Anyway, let's read the text. We'll come back to these images and then we'll move up the range. It starts by telling us Ford of Britain has been dedicated to the concept of high quality, attractive cars at equally attractive prices ever since the company was founded in 1928. That's the philosophy behind the value for money Granada L, a model whose high standards set the tone for the rest of the range. It's an elegant saloon whose crisp, efficient lines, spacious interior and big boot are complemented by a wealth of sophisticated engineering. Fully independent suspension, for instance, provides magic carpet ride comforts, plus the tenacious road holding and precise handling characteristics that have been praised by Britain's most critical motor writers. Power assisted steering is another standard feature generally associated with cars costing considerably more than the budget conscious Granada L. Day-to-day running costs are remarkably low thanks to the fuel-efficient engine. The 4-cylinder 2-litre develops 105 PS and has a wallet-watching 29.7 mpg at a constant 75 miles per hour when linked to the smooth, precise 5-speed gearbox that's another of the L's important assets. Official test credits the lively 2.3-litre V6 version with 28.2 mpg at 75 miles per hour. But that's not the end of the engine story. There's also the super frugal Granada 2.5-litre diesel, whose engine delivers 69 PS at 4,200 RPM. The saloon is exceptionally economical for a comfortable 5-seater and returns 27.4 mpg in official approved urban cycle tests. It has a 14.6 gallon fuel tank whose contents, provided by a lockable filler cap, provide a range that can exceed 400 miles, and I apologise, it does fall close to the crease. The value for money theme is underlined by many features which contribute to the Granada L's comfort, convenience and safety. Seats are trimmed in Bristol fabric, the front are matching head restraints. The driver's seat is fitted with adjustable lumbar support, designed with long journeys in mind. A radio, stereo, cassette player and 4 speakers with joystick speaker balance control is fitted as standard. There's also the convenience of frame-mounted stalks for the inertia reel seatbelts, plus centre armrests in front and rear. Smart, practical cut pile carpet makes the interior delightfully welcoming on a cold winter's day when the stratified heating system defies the weather. Visibility is enhanced by remote control door mirrors, and the specification also includes powerful halogen headlights. There's no question of fumbling around in the dark to unlock doors because the key has a built-in torch. That small but significantly convenient detail is typical of the Granada L. A reputation for being reliable, economical, comfortable and very pleasant to drive has made the Granada diesel taxi a firm favourite. Its 2.5 litre engine is ideally suited to hard work in heavy traffic, just as the 5-speed gearbox provides long legs for motorway travel. It's another of those Granada diesels. Ford always had a little bit of a history with their Granadas and making a special sort of diesel model. This looks like it's the same sort of story. It goes on to tell us there is a P21 radio slotted into the hooded instrument panel with its neat instruments, warning lights and illuminated heater controls. Granada Taxi has a special feature fitted as standard in case the driver needs help. A combined visual and acoustic alarm system activates the hazard lights, flashes the headlights and sounds the horn. So a little bit of special features you get on the diesel taxi version. So a bit of a peek on the inside of this base model, and this is where you kind of like feel it is a base model. A lot of blanking plugs there, clock in the place of the rev counter, etc. Seats actually don't look too bad for a base model. We've got this two-tone going on there, which certainly breaks up the idea of a sea of a grey, which you certainly get on base models, but we've got a sort of nice place to rest your arm on the front, and indeed we've got that folding rear armrest in the back, and head restraints actually not bad for a base model. You often found as Ford moved their life of the cars along, more and more features kind of like crept into the base models. So there is the front end of the Granada L. Like I say, at this time, not a bad looking car, was it? Colour coordinated grille, bit of chrome work on the bumper, kind of like almost hiding the fact that this is the base model. Of course, just steel wheels with a centre cap on there. I think this colour, this metallic blue, actually helps it look a little bit nicer than we kind of like expect for a base model really. But overall, not a bad entry model. We certainly often talk about when the Ford Sierra came out, there was a bit of an uproar. We lost that beautiful Cortina, and now we've got this sort of spaceship jelly mold design of the Sierra. Always a little bit of a talking point, of course, and of course no saloon with the Sierra at this time. So we always say, well, at least the Orion was there to catch some of those Cortina buyers. Well, you could also argue the base model Granada, maybe that caught a few of the outgoing Cortina buyers who now had a little bit more extra money to spend and went for a base model Granada. I think that would have been a reasonable suggestion if you really couldn't get your head around this new jelly moulded Sierra. I certainly think at this time it wasn't a bad buy. Just a quick announcement, if you do enjoy this sort of content, then please do consider subscribing. It is all completely free and keeps you in touch with the channel. Anyway, let's continue moving up the Granada range. And moving up the range moves us to this model I don't really remember too well, the Granada LX. Designed for today, the lavish LX represents amazing value for money. we had things like we've now got some overriders on the bumpers that the L didn't get. But more unusually, we've got these very bizarre white wheel trims. I don't know how I feel about that. LX in the Ford range was always a little bit of a value for money model, but they always tried to make it a little bit sporty. We've not gone for any sort of like red inserts or anything like that, but we've gone for white wheel trims, which certainly made it stand out. Let's have a look at the text. It tells us keen drivers and comfort-loving passengers cannot fail to be delighted by the Granada LX's sparkling performance, excellent economy and lavish specification. The 5-seater saloon's all-round refinement is just as impressive as its ability to devour motorway miles or make light work of heavy traffic. Ford's 2-litre and now 2.3 litre engine provides a choice of power units, and both come complete with a 5-speed gearbox or optional auto. Fingerlight power assisted steering that provides plenty of feel on the open road is also standard, and of course they're making a big deal about power steering, but we've just learned it's standard on all the range. It makes the Granada very easy to park and very rewarding to drive along roads liberally laced with tricky corners. Wraparound bumpers and bodyside mouldings protect the nose, tail and flanks. They are stylish and practical, just like the white wheel covers and the radiator grille, whose horizontal bars are shaped to increase the car's aerodynamic efficiency. Tinted glass includes a laminated windscreen, and there's the additional convenience of electrically adjustable heated door mirrors. They combine with the LX's slim pillars and large windows to provide superb visibility. The LX's interior blends advanced technology with equally high comfort standards. The driver's seat, with its adjustable lumbar supports, provides a clear view of the instrument panel, where the neat, clear speedometer is matched by a tachometer to monitor engine speed. Other dials include an ammeter and an oil pressure gauge. But that's not all. The LX also has Ford's aircraft-style overhead console with map reading lights and a clean hand system of warning lights that enable brake pad wear, oil level and several other important functions to be checked without the driver leaving the seat. Never mind opening the bonnet. In addition, the LX has a multifunction digital clock, a cloth headlining is fitted, and the pillars are trimmed with colour-keyed fabric. So are the door inserts. Another thoughtful touch is the provision of an illuminated vanity mirror for the passenger's cloth-covered sun visor. Backseat passengers in the saloon benefit from the added luxury of reading lights mounted in the rear pillars. Tiny image, unfortunately, for the dashboard, but it certainly looks a lot nicer than the L, if you managed to put a little bit of fake wood in there by the looks of it. And then a little bit of an image of the overall interior. So then a bit of a zoom in of the front end of this LX model. We can see we've got those overriders now and those white wheel trims. I don't know how I feel about the white wheel trims, I must admit. No offence to anyone who actually loves these, but I think it kind of like lowers the look. I think it looks a little bit cheap for what is sort of a flagship range, but maybe it was more appealing. I guess it's very 80s, isn't it? That's what it comes down to. But overall, not a bad spec model. Moving up though to the next model in the range, the Granada GL, which here looks very nice in black, although of course black would be an extra charge item. Looking a bit more normal now. It's got the silver wheel trims. I kind of prefer the look of the GL, although I often think in the Ford range, if you get into a GL or above, you get into more high spec models, of course, and by more high spec, a little bit up market in some ways. That's how they always conceived it in the Ford world anyway. It says, in perfect tune with the times, the GL even has an aircraft style overhead console, but of course the LX had that, so you do get a bit of that overlapping information, making you feel you got more than what you're actually getting, I guess. We'll have a look at the text. We have a few little images to look at as we go around. So a little bit of an image. I always actually love when they actually include this in a car brochure, how they're actually badged at the back there. So Granada 2.3 GL, this particular example. It says Ford's powerful 2.8 litre V6 engine, noted for its smoothness and flexibility, becomes available in the Granada GL. So you can like think you would actually put a 2.8 version in that little image, but maybe not. It gives the 2.8 GL all the punch of 135 PS. Not that the 2.3 litre GL with 114 PS is short on power or performance. The body is basically the same as the Granada L's, but there are several important additions. They include a slide or tilt sunroof, tinted glass all round with electrically operated front and rear windows, even better sound insulation, power assisted steering and front and rear overriders. So we're now into the electric window market, which isn't bad because we're only up to a GL at the moment. And like I say, the Granadas later on in the time before they changed them actually started getting quite a few features on kind of like more lowly models. So I think the GL at this time was a pretty nice model to get actually. Goes on to tell us both door mirrors are heated and adjusted electrically. The most eye-catching feature inside is an aircraft-styled overhead console mounted between the padded sun visors. It incorporates the sunroof control, front courtesy lights, 2 map reading lights, and lights which indicate brake pad wear and low oil, fuel, coolant and screen washer levels without the driver having to leave his electrically adjustable seat. The front seat's backrests also have adjustable lumbar supports. The upholstery is cosseting Chelsea fabric. The wood grain instrument panel with its matched, and as we can see we get a little bit of an image of that electrically adjustable seat. And then we get a little tiny image once again. It's a shame them little dashboard pictures aren't bigger, but a little bit of a look at that wood grain. Going on to tell us speedometer and tachometer incorporates a multifunction digital clock with the central console houses a Ford SRT 32P stereo radio, stereo cassette units, 4 speakers, 2 in the front, 2 in the back, are balanced by a neat joystick control. All versions of the Granada have an illuminated boot, but the GL brings an engine compartment light in the range. A light is also provided for the vanity mirror on the passenger's side of the car. So yeah, the GL was a nicely spec car at the time. A little bit of a look on the interior and the front end of the GL in black. So yeah, the Granada GL was not a bad spec car at the time, and you could have even had the 2.8 litre V6 if you wanted. Of course you can go higher, and we will. To the Granada Ghia, kind of like the car you always aspired to own. It says the sleek, sophisticated Ghia combines futuristic features and traditional quality, and while these lovely alloy wheels standard, they do look very nice. It tells us the Ghia name is synonymous with cars offering exceptional luxury. The prestigious Granada Ghia, developed round the powerful 2.8 litre V6 engine, comes complete with auto transmission, power assisted steering and many other facets in its character. The tone is set by metallic paint as standard. Not many cars at this time actually came with metallic paint as standard, with elegant alloy wheels with 6-inch rims for 185 by 14 tyres, so those alloys do come standard as well. The front pair conceal the powerful ventilated disc brakes fitted to all 2.8 litre Granadas. The Ghia shares several features with the GL, including its versatile sunroof, tinted glass, overhead console, digital clock, adjustable lumbar support for the front seats, and heated electrically adjusted door mirrors. But that is just the start. On the Ghia, all 4 windows, the boot lid release, and the SRT 32P stereo radio, stereo cassette player aerials are electrically operated. The driver's seat is also raised and lowered, tilted and moved forwards or backwards electrically at the touch of a tiny lever or switch. The interior is a warm, welcoming compartment with cut-pile carpets and the floor and lower door sections, 4 adjustable head restraints, and seats are crushed velour with colour-keyed Savoy fabric trim inserts. Handy mat pockets are fitted on the backs of the front seats. Delayed action courtesy lights are a typical Ghia touch. They remain on for about 20 seconds after the doors are closed, making it easier for the driver to insert the ignition key at night, but are extinguished as soon as the engine starts. So look at the seats, and of course as soon as we go up to a Ghia model, the seats are far nicer place to be sat in. Head restraints on all the seats now. We've got a little bit of wood on those door cards as well, and for the first time they are proud enough to show us that dashboard in a little bit of a larger image. Wood looks a little bit cheap, but other than that, look at all the dials on there. We've got electronic clock for 85, a nice stereo for the time, and this is obviously, we come with an automatic transmission, so you certainly felt you're a little bit special when you moved up to a Ghia when you picked a Granada. So a look at the front end of the Granada Ghia. Grille looks different because we've got that sort of bright work going around it, which actually changes the look actually. I think the standout thing is those lovely alloy wheels. They look something special, and of course metallic paint is now standard, which, like I say, was quite unusual for the time. The interior is really filled up with all those headrests though, isn't it? But the thing is, of course, that isn't where the Granada range ends, although that would have been a quite nice range in itself, and certainly the Granada Ghia at this time has enough equipment to say, yeah, that's good enough for a top of the range model, but they decided to go further, which makes the Granada range another really big range. A lot of huge ranges for Ford at this time. So even though we went straight to an L, there's a lot of models in the Granada range, so let's have a look at them. So we've still got 2 models to go. So next up after the Ghia was the Ghia X, and you kind of like think at this time, what on earth could we add to the Ghia X that the Ghia doesn't already have? And like I said, there's another model to come. So as for the Granada Ghia X, the latest in-car technology blended with unrivaled comfort, plus the Ghia puts the Ghia X in a class of its own. So it starts by telling us Granada Ghia's specification sets very high standards, but they are exceeded by the lavish Ghia X. Designed to delight the fastidious, it blends the latest in automobile technology with features traditionally reserved for the very discerning driver. A choice of engines provides the effortless power needed to cope with everything from crowded city streets to long international journeys. The standard 2.8 litre V6 develops 135 PS, while the top of the range counterpart with Bosch K Jetronic fuel injection puts 150 PS under the bonnet. The Ghia X comes complete with auto transmission, although Ford's 5-speed manual gearbox is a no-cost option. Interestingly, it tells us all versions have alloy wheels, but the fuel-injected 2.8 litre is equipped with the Michelin TRX tyres and other components of the handling pack. Interesting. The body of its equipment, including heated and power-adjusting door mirrors, echo the Ghia, but the fuel-injected X has an additional front spoiler. By the same token, the Ghia's impressive list of luxury items, from the sunroof to the cut-pile carpet, provides a high-class basis for the Ghia X features. The most outstanding one are air conditioning, which provides dehumidified refrigerated air for maximum comfort in hot weather, which actually for the UK was quite an unusual feature to have as standard. Plus a recirculatory system, invaluable in fume-ridden traffic jams and for speedy heating or cooling of the interior. Ford's multifunction trip recorder and electrically adjustment for the front passenger seat, as well as the drivers. As a bonus, both front seats are heated and the rear seat belts are fitted. The Ghia X also has Ford's all-electronic multi-feature ECU1 sound system linked to 4 speakers. 2-coat metallic paint optional elsewhere in the range is part of Granada Ghia and Ghia X standards treatment. So there is your Ghia X interior, still no leather though, which you would think would be on the Ghia X, I must admit. Look at that interior. Look at the back there, and look how it's badged there. Granada 2.8 Ghia X. At a time when your badges used to get longer and longer and longer, of course. Loved the rear lights actually of the Mark II Granada. A little bit of a look at the rear and those big head restraints. And of course we've got those lovely alloy wheels on there as well. Yeah, it's certainly a car you would aspire to have, and certainly when you saw a Ghia X it did look something special. You could go higher though, so let's look how you can go higher. How about the Granada Ghia X Executive? Leather trim seats give the powerful, elegant Executive that extra touch of class. So standard leather seats really are the main thing. Let's have a look at the text, see how it describes it. So prestigious, elegant and engineered to perfection, the Ghia X Executive is the ultimate variation of the Ford Granada theme. It blends all the leather trimmed, air-conditioned luxury of a smooth, sophisticated limousine with the punch and poise demanded by quality-conscious VIPs who appreciate exceptionally fine machinery. Lavishly equipped and superbly finished, the Ghia X Executive takes the sting out of city traffic. On long journeys, the 2.8 V6 engine, with or without fuel injection, makes you wonder if your watch is running slow. In true Ford style, this top-of-the-range 5-seater also represents remarkable value for money. So it certainly looks the part with all the lights on there. Of course, we get some rather nice alloy wheels. So it looks an amazing car. I don't remember the Ghia X Executive quite as well as I remember the Ghia X's, I must admit. Because it's a special model, they do have another page though. And yeah, the Ghia X Executive is all about leather seats, so the next page has got a lovely image of the leather seats in your Granada Ghia X Executive. Never a huge fan of leather seats in Fords. I don't know, there's something just about it. Maybe that little bit of a baggy look I don't particularly like, but certainly a special car. So let's have a read how it describes it. It tells us leather upholstery has always been associated with cars of the highest class. That's why Ford specified it for the superb Granada Ghia X Executive, a very exclusive saloon based on the lavish Ghia X. This top-of-the-range Granada has grey leather trim for the seats, the door panel inserts and the combined armrest and glove box between the front seats. It gives the Executive an atmosphere which highlights the overall quality of the Granada range. Luxurious but practical, the leather is supplied by Connolly Brothers of Wimbledon. The company, still in business, was formed in 1878 and has had close links with the motor industry's most prestigious names for more than 60 years. Top grade hides for the Executive comes from Scandinavia and spend about 60 hours and before Connolly's craftsmen turn them into fully dressed leather. Ford's own experts cut the leather and sew it into place. It complements a car whose standard equipment includes air conditioning, an electrically operated slide or tilt steel sunroof, fully adjustable head restraints in front and rear compartments, a trip computer, rear seat belts, electrically operated windows, central locking and adjustable electrically operated front seats. The Ghia X Executive also comes complete with additional driving lights, to supplement the powerful halogen headlights. The lavish interior is matched by an equally impressive all-electronic multi-feature ECU1 audio system with a stereo MWLW VHF radio and stereo cassette player. The Executive also has 4 speakers linked to the joystick balance control and an electronically operated aerial. Power comes from Ford's smooth 2.8 litre V6 with or without fuel injection. Auto transmission is standard, but there is no extra charge if you prefer Ford's 5-speed manual. So back to the main image, and I think I've just zoomed on this door card really because it's a big image and we can have a better look at that wood on these Ghia X versions. Overall, a very interesting model indeed. If you don't mind me just lowering the camera a little bit, I'll give you a little bit of a shot of the electric seat switches. I think even the carpets look really high quality carpets actually, but overall, like I say, I don't think I'm a huge fan. Well, I'm not a huge fan of leather, so maybe that doesn't interest me that much, but Fords in particular, I don't really like their leather seats, so certainly I would have much preferred to have gone with the nice velour. And then you've got all your estates, but as time is running slow, as we often say, we're going to skip over the estates. Next week we'll do an actual Ford 1985 estate model episode, and we'll go back and we'll have a look at all the estates in a bit more detail. So that takes us to the detailed specification and range review pages. We don't have time to read every word on here, but we will look at optional features because I think that tells a big tale about each model. We'll have a look at the colours and we'll have a look at the all-important prices, starting with the L. So for the L, you can add on auto transmission, £449, central locking, £209, black paint, £90, metallic paint, £127, two-tone paint, £208, interesting. In-car entertainment, so we can add an electrically operated aerial for £49, push button stereo radio SRT 32p for £54, and a push button all electronic multi-feature stereo radio cassette ECU1 for £186. We can also add rear seat belts for £100, a sunroof for £333, tinted glass all round for £48, windows electrically operated at the front for another £181, so you can certainly spec it with a lot of extras. I always think it's a little bit crazy on the base model L to add all those, but somebody once said one of the reasons they did this, if it was a company car, there was a bit of tax break, so you can actually load your base model, and it was a worthwhile thing. But certainly for the private motorist, I would always say just move up a spec. Surely don't spend all that money on all the extras, because of course when depreciation comes and you're selling it second hand, those extras don't really count for much. Anyway, solid colours, we can have diamond white, cameo beige, lacquer red, cedar green and black at extra cost. And then if I just move the camera down, the metallic colours, strato silver, quartz gold, nimbus grey, jade green, Paris blue, mineral blue and imperial red. And the two-tone colours, so interestingly you could have nimbus grey or jade green with a strato silver lower. Don't remember too many of these late Granadas, but possibly that was seen as a little bit old-fashioned by this time. So taking us to the prices, the cheapest Granada you could get was £7,664 for the 2 litre. The 2.3 took you to £8,644, and the diesel took you to £8,878. So yeah, your base model £7,664, which actually was a very similar price to a 2 litre GL Sierra. So this is what I mean about maybe it wasn't just the Orion which was an option for those Cortina lovers. Get a base model Granada 2 litre. I think you would have been quite happy with that, surely. Anyway, let's move on. So that then takes us to the LX. Optional features for your LX, same sort of story really. Auto transmission, your black paint, your metallic paint. You can even get a two-tone paint on the LX, which Would look very unusual with those white wheels. In-car entertainment options, similar. Seatbelts, same. Sunroof, etc. Colour-wise, diamond white, cameo beige, lacquer red, cedar green and black. The metallics of strato silver, quartz gold, nimbus grey, jade green, Paris blue, mineral blue and imperial red. And the same two-tone metallics, nimbus grey or jade green over strato silver. And prices for the saloon, the 2 litre was £8,162, the 2.3 LX £9,141. We then move up to the GL. So options for the GL, we get a 5-speed gearbox on the 2.8 for no extra cost. Front fog lamps, £79. The handling pack, interesting, £428 for that. We've got similar options for black, metallic and two-tone paint. Similar sort of options for in-car entertainment. Seat belts, or extra £100. We can get a trip computer now, £243. Colour choice, diamond white, cameo beige, lacquer red, cedar green, black, extra cost. Metallic, strato silver, quartz gold, nimbus grey, jade green, Paris blue, mineral blue and imperial red. Same two-tone colours of nimbus grey or jade green over silver. Price of the 2.3 GL, £10,626. Price of the 2.8 GL, £11,374. That then takes us to the Ghia, and the options of course reduce. Now we're going to these more high spec models. So 5-speed gearbox, no extra charge. Front fog lamps are £79. Handling pack, £183. And then the paints. So the black paint has actually got a price reduction of £37. Solid paint has a price reduction of £127 because metallic is now standard. Two-tone paint can be had for an extra £80. We can go for an in-car entertainment, push button all electronic, multi-feature stereo, radio, stereo cassette, ECU 1, £132. Rear seat belts, £100. Trip recorder, or trip computer I should say, £243. And then the colours, and like I say, much nicer seats on the Ghia in Savoy. So solid colours, reduced price of course, diamond white, cameo beige, lacquer red, cedar green or black. And then the metallic paints, which we could get them at no extra cost, strato silver, quartz gold, nimbus grey, jade green, Paris blue, mineral blue and imperial red. And then those two-tone colours of nimbus grey or jade green over strato silver. Price of your 2.8 Ghia, £11,798. That takes us to the Ghia X, with the options of a 5-speed gearbox, no extra cost, handling pack, £183, black and solid coloured paints, price reduction again because metallic is standard, two-tone paint, £80, so not much you can really add to it. Solid colours again in diamond white, cameo beige, lacquer red, cedar green, black. Metallics of strato silver, quartz gold, nimbus grey, jade green, Paris blue, mineral blue and imperial red. And then the two-tone metallic colours of nimbus grey or jade green with the strato silver lower. So the prices of your 2.8 Ghia X, £13,557. And then if you wanted the injected version, £14,153. And then if you was a leather fan, the Ghia X Executive was for you. Similar sort of options, no charge for your 5-speed gearbox if you wanted that. Handling pack, £183. And your price reduction for black or solid. And then note, your two-tone paint was no extra charge either on the Executive. Grey Connolly leather was your only interior seat colour, and the colours were diamond white, cameo beige, lacquer red, cedar green or black. Metallic colours of strato silver, nimbus grey, jade green, Paris blue, mineral blue, imperial red. And then the two-tone colours have actually got an increased choice if you notice. So you can have Nimbus Grey over Strator Silver, Jade Green over Strator Silver, and now Mineral Blue over Strator Silver. Again, two prices, £14,258 for your non-injected version, £14,855 for your injected version, so not a cheap vehicle by any stretch. We mustn't forget about the taxi version, of course. Was a diesel, was on L spec, with the options of central locking with torch key, £209, black paint, £90, metallic paint, £127. You've got the rear seatbelt options of £100. You've got your sunroof option in steel, £333. Tinted glass all round, an extra £48. And we do get a colour choice, so not just black for this taxi. You get in diamond white, cameo beige, lacquer red, cedar green and black. And then your metallics of Strator Silver, quartz gold, Nimbus Grey, jade green, Paris blue, mineral blue and imperial red. And surprisingly, you can get the two-tone colours of Nimbus Grey, Strator Silver lower, or jade green with Strator Silver lower. Also gives you a list of the special taxi features, so visual acoustic alarm system, large ashtrays mounted on all four doors, wiring for roof mounted signs, two pillar mounted large interior lamps switched from the fascia, provision to mount a taximeter and two-way radio, and optional grey vinyl trim. All priced at £7,792. And that brings us to the end of today's Granada episode. Thank you so much for everyone who's watched today. You remember this particular Granada, please do jot it in the memories, particularly if you owned one. Love to know how you got on. I think I've ended at this page really because I think the standard Granada Ghia I would have been more than happy with. It looks superb with those alloy wheels, I'm sure you will agree, although like I say, you can go higher than this if you really want to. Next week, of course, like I say, we're going to look at the estates for the Granada. In fact, all the estates seen in this brochure, because we skip through them because they're often left behind, but we'll go through them for those who are estate stroke wagon fans. We'll certainly go through those models next week, but thank you so much for watching today. And if you've not already done so, please do consider subscribing. It is all completely free, and you can become a member if you wish to support the channel. Couple of boxes popping up now. They'll be for other episodes you can watch, and particularly one of the boxes will be for all the episodes in this particular brochure if you missed any today. But overall, thank you so much for watching. Please do take care. We'll see you very soon, and goodbye.